did most of my pro bono hours with Justice Without Borders. They are a non-governmental organisation that helps migrant domestic workers.
So initially I found that was such a hassle until in 2019 when I chanced upon an email from the SMU Pro Bono Centre regarding a newly launched deputyship project.
SMU student is really amazing. We managed to have them to come to our office one whole day. It was really to help our caregivers to apply for their deputyship application.
And that's where having SMU Law students come in is a very integral to our success of the program, because deputyship is a legal tool. You can't just pluck volunteers out from the streets to come in and help us on it. So that's where the law students help to fill that void, create that bridge between who needs help and who is able to, and the institution that's able to help the program. So that's where law students are a perfect bridge. They have time, they have the legal know-how, they can read the statute, they can read the court forms.
I did participate in a number of different volunteering experiences. First, I started out with legal clinics. That was with the Singapore Council of Women's Organisations as well as the Ministry of Social and Family Development.
The law students can come in to help us. For instance, they can come in and give talks on estate planning. They can also come in to help our clients write the LPA Form 2.
I consider actually the most enjoyable is that students will be attached to a pre-trial conference with the district judge. I did a lot of pro bono. So I did the State Courts Representatives Program. I also did clinic with the State Courts itself. I did the bankruptcy clinic in the High Court. Then I also did many community centres. I also did the pro bono with the help desk with SMU, and I also did the evening clinics with SMU.
I was fortunate to meet this lady applicant, and right from the outset you could tell that she was a very warm and very cheerful person. So she was there to apply for a deputyship application together with her sister to be joint deputies, right, on behalf of their mentally disabled brother. So this was meaningful on two aspects. The first was as we went through the application process, I realized that contrary to what I thought, because initially I thought that iFAMS is so much simpler, it's so much more efficient, it's online, everything is quite intuitive. Why would anyone need our help? And it was through going through each individual fields and that we need to fill in that I realized that actually there were a lot of areas that we could help and to contribute. So for example, one area was where we needed to determine which court orders to apply for. And so things like, for example, management of CPF monies, bank accounts, the daily expenses, all these things which the applicant did not really know about and did not know which one to fill in or which one to apply for. So this was one aspect which I felt that I was able to contribute significantly and meaningfully. And the second aspect was really, I think, the most important thing, which was the interaction that I had with her. And I mean, the applicants were in their early 50s. They had their own full-time jobs, and one was a teacher. And so they had to also take care of their similarly aged brother, and I couldn't really imagine how hard it was. And throughout my entire interaction with her, she came off as a very calm and determined person, even though you could actually tell that she was burdened, she was tired, and at times also lost with the application process. So having had the experience of meeting her, I think she really was one of the strongest person that I've ever met, and it was heartening to see that as a person and going through so much, that not only was she strong internally, but she also portrayed to others as a very strong and calm person.
When we managed to get the court order for the applicants and then they thank us with such sincerity and gratitude, it really changed my perception of pro bono. So that's why I've been in the project since 2019 until now.
Biggest misconception, and even myself included, I had this misconception. When you come into law school, you hear about your billion-dollar cases, your multi-million-dollar cases. You hear that lawyers earn big bucks. You don't hear the other side of law, where you have people who are unable to afford this legal advice, legal services. But you get exposure to all of these from the pro bono side.
I think law students have a certain ability to be able to empathize with the situations of caregivers. Why? Because law is precedent-based, right? We have read about family court cases, we have read about criminal cases. So that experience allows them to share with the caregivers that, hey, their problems are not suffered by them alone. They are not alone. One of the parents wanted to speak to the student more than they wanted to speak to the social worker.
The will is a very important device in directing how their monies will flow into the trust. Questions like that. So they are really helped in the thinking process, and I think they make better decisions by having a conversation with the students. Best of all, many of them are bilingual, so much to our relief, because many of our clients they are older and they are Mandarin speaking, and this really was very, very helpful.
It is gratifying to see that you can actually help them, and by speaking to them kindly and as well as dispensing legal advice, you can actually point them the way to go, and they usually would leave the centre hopeful and happy and relieved.
I resigned to my fate that I have to do this pro bono requirement, right? So I told myself I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Before I joined this project, I have never heard of deputyship at all. My friends have also never heard what a deputyship application is. So I decided to join this project, and from this project I learned about a new area of law. How students, not just, you don't have to wait to become a lawyer to help someone.
I thought at first it was more useful for the LLBs rather than the GDs. But I think that after having gone through my experience with Justice Without Borders, the skills that you picked up and the experience that you picked up is something that law school does not offer, and I think it helps put any law student in a better position once they go into their traineeship.
It's a fun experience. It's a fun experience. The more often you do pro bono, or like the longer time you do pro bono, you're also at the same time a student in law school, right? So you learn different electives, you learn different areas of the law. And it's quite interesting because the more experience you get as a student, you cover more areas of law. You start to be able to relate more to some of the legal issues that you do in pro bono. When the client tells you a problem, you kind of
are able to relate.
Yeah, you can relate to the issue, and you're like, maybe you can try this, maybe you can try that, and you have a better and more full discussion with the lawyer rather than just doing research for him and not really knowing what you're going into. Most of the time people spend the time studying, just going through life. But this whole experience with the pro bono really allows you to take some perspective, like I am growing as a person as well, and I am learning more about the law as I go through my law school journey.
I don't think law school is simply about trying to get a good grade or focusing too much on the GPA. I think there are larger aspects to life that we are part of. There's so much good that we can do with the skills that we have so painstakingly cultivated. So one of the things that I learned from the lawyers at OSLAS is the ability to stitch together legal issues from a very complicated factual matrix. Because in law school, we are often given education in silos, right? We learn, say, the law of torts in itself or the law of contract, but oftentimes legal problems can really crisscross between areas of law. So that was something that I got from OSLAS.
I have two young children, and I mean, if you want to ask how do you find time, I think there's always a bit of time that you can squeeze out. There are those that require months of commitment, but there are also those that just require 2 hours of your time to just do some research and present it in a digestible way.
At the SMU Pro Bono Centre, we have a wide range of opportunities for all law students to use their legal knowledge to help the wider community. You can take part in legal clinics at SMU and in other parts of Singapore, help litigants in person at the state courts and the Supreme Court, assist in organisations like the Legal Aid Bureau, Justice Without Borders, and the Law Society Pro Bono Services. You can give talks to the community on community law to the beneficiaries of non-profit organisations. You can also take part in new projects developed by the SMU Pro Bono Centre with the help of enthusiastic law students. These projects include helping litigants in person apply for deputyship orders and lasting powers of attorney, helping members of the public resolve their disputes at the free mediation clinic, and helping the elderly to draft their wills. If you wish, you can even initiate new projects, as many students have done. Doing your part in pro bono will not only give meaning to your legal education, but also enrich and touch the lives of the people you serve. It brings colour and community to the world we live in. All of us have a part to play to give meaning to the word pro bono.
I don't have any regrets. I mean, if there was a regret, it would be that I didn't sign up for more opportunities, to be honest.